lô, một, hai, lô, 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 một, lô, lô, một, hai, lô, một, hai, ba, bốn, năm, sáu, lô, 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 lô. Alo, một, hai, lô, lô.
Nghe bình thường chị ạ.
Alo, 24680 chị nghe được không? Ok, ok. Vâng, em nói bé. lô 24680 lô.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please take a seat. We are about to start soon. Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to our press conference of Green Economy Forum and Exhibition 2022. Since our last press conference back in late May, we made a remarkable progress, and we are happy to share more details with you here today. It's our pleasure to have here with us Mr. Alan Canning, Chairman of EuroCham's. His Excellency Ambassador Giorgio Alberti, Head of EU Delegation to Vietnam. Mr. Đỗ Thắng Hải, Vice Minister of Ministry of Foreign Trade. Mr. Vũ Bá Phú, Director General of VIETRADE. His Excellency Nicolas Boutfinery, Ambassador of France to Vietnam. Mr. Nguyễn Như Hiếu, Deputy Director General of Department of Local Diplomacy Facilitation, MOFA. Mr. Christoph Promersberger, Deputy Head of Mission, Embassy of the Netherlands to Vietnam. Representatives of ministries, members of EuroCham's partners, Board of Directors and Advisory. Ladies and gentlemen, it started as an idea aiming to provide sufficient support to Vietnam toward the impetus of implementation of COP26 strong commitments. Having had the endorsed by ministries, we have guided to tailor this mission in the direction of national green growth. This initiative has also received encouragement and enlightenment that it has become joint force by Team Europe, even with a larger scale, higher mission, in the light of strengthening both political and economic relations between Europe and Vietnam. I would like to present to you a short video of GEFE.
Việt Nam có thể đạt mục tiêu phát triển xanh và bền vững vào năm 2050 không? Khi núi đồi được phủ xanh và rác thải nhựa không còn nữa. Khi thực phẩm sạch và được canh tác bền vững. Nguồn nước sạch luôn sẵn có cho mọi người. Bầu không khí trở nên trong lành hơn khi phương tiện công cộng và xe điện được mọi người sử dụng nhiều hơn. Sự kiện triển lãm và diễn đàn kinh tế xanh mang đến những công nghệ xanh và những kinh nghiệm thực tiễn từ châu Âu để hỗ trợ Việt Nam trên chặng đường trung hòa carbon vì một Việt Nam xanh cho thế hệ tương lai.
I would like to welcome to on stage Mr. Alan Kani, Chairman of EuroCham, His Excellency Ambassador Giorgio Aliberti, Head of EU Delegation to Vietnam, Mr. Do Thang Hai, Vice Minister of Ministry of Industry and Trade, and Mr. Vũ Bảo Phú, Director of General VIETRADE, and Mr. Christoph Promersberger, Deputy Head of Mission, Embassy of Kingdom of Netherlands to Vietnam. To begin. Before we start, I would like to invite Mr. Alan Kani to deliver his remarks and setting the scene of GEFE.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, a warm welcome to our friend and partner, the Vice Minister of Industry and Trade, Mr. Do Thang Hai, the Ambassador Giorgio Aliberti, Head of the EU Delegation. Welcome to ambassadors, trade councillors, friends, member of EuroCham, and of course, member of the media. Very pleased to welcome you all here today for a big event. In fact, we have two events in one event, which make it, and I have to say, two important events. And Vice Minister and Ambassador, your presence here is important to us for these two events. Actually, the two are very strongly linked to each other, as what we are going to sign today with VIETRADE, between EuroCham and VIETRADE, is a strong link to bring the Vietnamese business community as part of our green exhibition and forum event, which we will have in Ho Chi Minh City on the 28th, 29th, and 30th of November. Talking about GEFE first, the primary goal is for us to support Vietnam in meeting its COP26 commitments and accomplish its national green growth strategy for 2021-2030 developing goals in bringing European innovation and sustainable solutions for the country. This is a 3-day event in Ho Chi Minh City. Why Ho Chi Minh City? Big question. We thought that first, the south of Vietnam and the Mekong Delta in particular is going to be the most affected part of the country due to climate change. And of course, this is the main economic hub of the country. So for doing the first event of this size and this magnitude, we thought that it would be better to have it in Ho Chi Minh City. We will start the event, so 3 days of conference and 3 days of exhibition. On the conference part, we will start with a high-level plenary, which we will talk about sustainable development, energy policies and plan, funding, knowledge sharing initiative, and climate risk management. Also, the biggest obstacle to green growth, how to best or most quickly remove this obstacle and assess what the outcomes will be when they are removed. We will take advantage to recap and expand upon the COP27 outcomes, which, as you may know, will happen from the 6th to the 18th November in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. Beside the plenary high-level session, we will have different panel discussion and workshops over the 3 days on subjects such as energy resources, energy saving, green financing, waste treatment, circular development, sustainability, and so on. In parallel, we will have 3 days of exhibition featuring more than 150 exhibitions. As of today, this is a number we are pleased to give, but we are still getting more exhibitors almost every day on the 5,000 square meter exhibition floor. I would like to remind you that this event is being organized by EuroCham, but not only. EuroCham is really providing the platform, but we are working closely first with our Green Growth Sector Committee, with the 9 business associations, national business associations, which are part of EuroCham, the EU delegation, of course, European member states, and in partnership with the government of Vietnam and its ministries, agencies, and in particular, the MOIT. We will bring to Ho Chi Minh City some very high-level guests and speakers. It will be very likely that we will have a European Commissioner. We are not allowed to announce today a name and a title, but I think both the ambassador and myself are extremely confident that we will have the presence of a European Commissioner for which is related to the subject of the conference. We will have some members of the European Parliament, which are concerned also by the climate change. We have confirmation of a Dutch minister in charge of international trade. In charge of foreign trade and development cooperation. I'm sorry for my pronunciation. I should have repeat with you, Christophe, but Miss Lissy Schredenmacher. I will announce it. You will make it later on. And of course, the presence of many European ambassadors in Vietnam, together with the EU ambassador, Giorgio Aliberti, and trade counselor. Again, this is a Team Europe work, and even more is a Team Europe working with Vietnam team. We are highly confident that Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh will be there physically in Ho Chi Minh City. We had several occasions to discuss with him, even very recently. And you all know that Prime Minister take this subject extremely seriously on top of his personal agenda and the government agenda. And we are also very confident, together with Prime Minister, to have the presence of several ministers from the MOIT, MONRI, MPI, Ministry of Agriculture, and maybe some more. And of course, the chairman of the People's Committee of Ho Chi Minh City, Mr. Phan Van Mai, and some other official from Ho Chi Minh City. This will be complemented, of course. Besides GEFE, we are organizing together with the ambassador one-on-one high-level meeting between the European VIP and the senior Vietnamese official. We believe this dialogue is incredibly important. Getting top decision makers to sit down and join in dialogue will have a huge impact by boosting mutual understanding between all parties, specifically on common concerns and priorities, showing the most actionable, useful, and realistic ways everyone can cooperate. I think this transition economy could not happen, will not happen, unless we all cooperate together, government, businesses, of course, and Vietnam and FDI. And that's exactly what we want to bring with this event. I will elaborate further right after the MOU signing, especially for the media, to give you more substance of what's going to happen during the conference. On the exhibition as well, beside the fact that we have already secured about 150 exhibitors, you will see through the signing of the MOU this afternoon that we are expecting to get much more than that, because we are expecting, in cooperation with VIETRADE, to bring a sizable Vietnamese presence to the event. I think we have already in this country a lot of initiatives from Vietnamese businesses, and beside the one who are directly involved in energy or waste or sustainability, I think there are already some very interesting initiatives in the country, and we hope we will be able to showcase this through the booth which VIETRADE is going to put together. So the second event, of course, is this MOU signing, which we will have in a few minutes, right after the speeches. The main objective of this MOU and this agreement we will sign with the VIETRADE is to bring Vietnamese companies to the event in November, but it's also, beyond that, to set up the framework for future ongoing cooperation between EuroCham and VIETRADE, and strengthen links which are already pretty close between Vietnam and EU business community. As I said, green transition is not possible without B2B, B2G cooperation, technology transfer, funding transfer, knowledge sharing, etc. This MOU will help create more opportunities for the resource sharing necessary to make transformative changes. This is the only way forward. We need to pool our resources to fill the current gaps. So I will be pleased to come back after the signing again, especially for our friends from the media, to give you more information of the conferences, the different themes we will talk during the conferences, the speakers who will be there, and also, if you wish, to give you more details about the 5,000 square meters of exhibition, which will happen at the same time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. I would like to invite Ms. Ambassador Giorgio to share his remarks.
Thank you, dear Vice Minister Do Thang Hai, Minister of Industry and Trade, dear Alain, Chairman of EuroCham's, dear colleagues, Nicolas Vannery, Ambassador of France, Ambassador of Finland, Kegan Orbanto, dear colleagues, Christophe. Ladies and gentlemen, it's really a pleasure for me to be here today with you to talk about the importance of this upcoming Green Economy Forum and Exhibition 2022, organized by EuroCham, which we fully support. I think it will be one of the major events during this year in Vietnam to promote green technology and green solutions. So we are actively working, as Alain was mentioning, to try to get a appropriate high-level presence participation from Brussels. I'm a bit more diplomatic than Alain, but I can share that, of course, we are working on the same line, try to get the best out of it. So I'm pretty confident that we will try to get the proper person, the proper high-level officers. I think that Europe has a lot to offer in this field. So I think there is a lot of attention, a lot of interest in this initiative, because it's not only it's appropriate, I think it's timely. This is really the right time for Vietnam in particular to be here and to look at new technologies to operate this green transition. The idea is to green the whole economy, to find solution for the fight against climate change. And I think it's a joint interest. European Union and Vietnam are really going on in the same direction. As Alain Cani was mentioned, this is Team Europe, we're working together, member states, European Union, EuroCham, business. So it's a whole of, I would say, all of Europe effort, all of European Union efforts to really to work together to allow future generation to live in a better place also here in Vietnam. And we know Vietnam is very vulnerable to climate change. So it's very relevant here. Really, it's not just about something theoretical, something about real, and people see that. The European Union is a very strong supporter, of course, of a transition, global transition towards a low emission, a resource efficient and circular economy. And we believe there is a transformative power in all of this, and we have to turn these challenges into opportunities. And I think this is exactly what is it about. I think this is the idea of transforming challenges into opportunities for technology, for business, to do business together. We know natural resources are limited. We have to work with what you have. You cannot deplete them. There is a growing demand all over the places, not only here, also in Europe, but the old model we had, or take, make, throw away, doesn't get anywhere. So we have to rethink it. We have to avoid depleting natural resources. We have to use this circular economy, really recycle, reuse, because this is essential. And the circularity also needs to be there into the energy sector, of course, into construction, into food chains, into everything. These are, of course, there will be major implications for Vietnamese society, for Vietnamese companies, for Europeans as well. We are all there in the same fight. Now, when we talk about this COP26, also commitment by the government, by the Prime Minister, is about net zero 2050. We are all in the same place. In Europe, it's the same. You know, in Europe, we have saying we have to do it by 2050. It's a huge challenge. The same here. So, of course, we are ready to help because we acknowledge Vietnam is a different level of development. We want to do it together. But I think this is an essential thing we have to understand. We have also to change some habits we have from the past. We have to be more careful about the environment. The economy has to be more productive, but more balanced in a way, in the way we work. So I think a better business will better also for people, for the whole of society. And independent studies have found that actually there is a positive aspect to all this. A more circular model could bring net saving of 600 billion for EU business by 2030. So it's a huge amount, about 8% of their annual turnover. Could create a lot of jobs at the end, almost 600,000 jobs. So it means that this is a challenge, but there are big opportunities. And also in terms of employment, there can be positive results. So this is important also for Vietnam. We all know that there are pros and cons to all changes, and there are always resistance to change. But we have to see the positive aspect of it will be important opportunity also from the employment perspective. And we all know that the transition to be successful cannot be just obtained by single entities. It has to be the whole society. We all have to be together. I think we have to cooperate together into the value chain. So there is economic aspect to it, the society, individuals, private sector, NGOs, central and local government. And this is really needs to work all together hand in hand. So we have to coordinate. That's why we need events like this, because we can meet, we can discuss. It's not just an exhibition, of course, it's a forum as well. So we'll discuss about policy reforms, policy dialogue. This is a very, very important element. And of course, we believe the participation of civil society, NGO, is essential because it's a whole of society effort. We all have to be really there together. So GEFE, I think it's a really testimony to this cooperation, and we have a strong leadership. Of course, EuroCham, you know very well how Alain, when he's determined to get something, he will get there. So we know we are supporting him this very important effort. I think this is very much in line with our priorities, I think also for member states. So this is good, and also because EuroCham represents very important business community here, European business community, who's very solidly integrated into Vietnamese society, and I think they're working very well. And we also know that also member states are very active. A lot of national trade promotion agencies are very active and very positively working in this field as well. We'll witness later on the signature of this agreement between EuroCham and VIETRADE, which is, I think, a very important element as well. We, as EU delegation, we have been facilitating this cooperation since the very beginning. So finally, I just conclude, tell you that we are very happy. I think really that this GEFE is going to be a very important success, important event. We, as EU delegation, have been really very supportive of this, and I'm sure that will be the most important, I think, event during this year. And I think it will be an important platform also for European companies to showcase their technologies and their services for a greener and more sustainable economy coming from Europe, but I think in the interest not only of Europe, but also of Vietnam. So thank you so much. I will stop there and ready to reply to your question if you have any later on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. For the last few months at EuroCham, we have been working closely with the governmental agencies through fruitful discussions whereby numerous ideas and recommendations have been given in order to tailor the project in the most efficient way. To share more information in this regards, I would like to invite Mr. Do Thang Hai, Prime Minister of MOIT, to share his remarks.
Kính thưa ông Giorgio Aliberti,
His Excellency Mr. Giorgio Aliberti, Ambassador of the European Union to Vietnam. Mr. Nicolas Honoré, the EIP of France to Vietnam, Mr. Alan Kenny, EuroCham Chairman, representatives from diplomatic missions of EU member states to Vietnam. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so privileged today on behalf of MOIT to attend the press release and also the information gathering on GEFE, the Green Economy Forum and exhibition, as well as to witness the MOU signing between VIETRADE, MOIT, and EuroCham in Vietnam today. On this occasion, I wish to highly commend and appreciate the active cooperation between the VIETRADE MOIT and EuroCham in Vietnam during this time, particularly in your cooperation for this joint event for GEFE 2022, and also on the signing of MOU between the two sides to further tighten the cooperation between the two parties as the key momentum and platform for further cooperation in trade promotion, investment, and business support in the coming time. Ladies and gentlemen, Vietnam and the European Union established our diplomatic relations in 1990s. And after 30 years of establishment, the partnership between Vietnam and EU has made rapid developments in both in broader and also in-depth manner in different aspects of politics, economy, trade, investment, development, cooperation, and education, science, and technology. We can see that the trade relations are considered an important aspect to promote political cooperation and activities between EU and Vietnam. Before the EVFTA agreements were signed, Vietnam-EU relations were still in the upswing. But now we see a lot of improvements. As we can see, the two-way trade between Vietnam and EU continues to recover and grow strongly. And there have been a lot of grants and loans for Vietnam in terms of agriculture, economics, energy, water supply, administrative reform, poverty reduction, education and training, etc. And the trade relations are the important part for further strengthening of EU-Vietnam relations for mutual benefit. EU has become the leading partner of Vietnam for trade, the third exporter, and also the fifth importer for Vietnam. On the other side, Vietnam has become the biggest partner in ASEAN with EU and ranked the 11th to provide goods and services for EU. In 2021 and also the early months of 2022, the two-way trade has been on a bounce back compared with even pre-COVID-19 circumstances. And as per the statistical from Vietnam Customs, in the second year of implementing EVFTA since August 2021 to July 2022, the total imports-export revenue is around 67.9 billion and has reached a wide increase. So as per the Eurostat, for the first 7 months of 2022, EU imported goods from Vietnam with a total amount of 27.9 billion euro. And on the other side, EU also expanded the exports to Vietnam with 6.9 billion in total revenues, increasing around 10.5%. The EVFTA has strongly supported for the commodities of EU and Vietnam to access to each other markets and also meeting the diversification demand of supply. In the first 9 months of 2022, the exports to European countries from Vietnam has been on the right side, also witnessing a very much active transition, not only focusing on the large markets of Germany, France, the Netherlands, but also accessing smaller markets, including the northern, the eastern part of European, and also the EVFTA advantages helped Vietnam to increase its market share in EU and also access to high quality commodities of EU to Vietnam. In terms of investment, with a strong commitment to enhance the better business climate, Vietnam is able to approach to the high quality projects and investments from EU to Vietnam. And EU has become the 5th largest investor to Vietnam with a total registered capital of 26.7 billion US dollars. And for the first 8 months of 2022, the total registered capital in Vietnam is around 22.2 billion US dollars, increasing 9.6% compared with last year, with 154 newly granted projects. Ladies and gentlemen, once we had commitments by our Prime Minister in COP26, the growth strategy of Vietnam 2021 to 2030 was approved with different targets, for example, reduction of emissions per GDP, greening economic sectors, greening the sustainable manner of working and living, enhancing living quality, and our ability to fight against climate change. Based on these kind of targets, then EuroCham cooperate with different agencies to organize the GEFE, Green Economy forum and exhibition in order to enhance the trade and investment relationships between EU and Vietnam. And this is also a good way to exercise the green growth strategy of Vietnam by 2021 to 2030. This GEFE will introduce and also showcase advanced technologies, high quality products, and also innovatives on green economy and circular economy of not only European enterprises, but also Vietnamese ones. And the one-on-one panel discussions and exhibitions would be good opportunities for the European and Vietnam enterprises to contribute to a green and sustainable economy of Vietnam by sharing innovations and technology transfer. So I have my high hope that this GEFE 2022 would be a very golden opportunity and useful event to meet all of our targets and also to exercise the bilateral relations to contribute to the implementation of national green growth strategy of Vietnam. So once again, thank you so much for the strong support and efforts made by the European businesses in Vietnam for the implementation of governmental agencies of Vietnam, including MOIT, and for the strong cooperation and support from all EU member states with the presence of ambassadors and diplomatic missions of EU member states in Vietnam. I'd like to also thank for your strong sharing and also partnership, including the partnership with all the media agencies. And we look forward to receiving your strong support in tightened partnership. I would like to wish for our event today success. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And now the important part, as Mr. Alan Kenny has shared with you, I would like to have your attention, please, on the stage for the MOU signing ceremony to mark the cooperation between EuroCham and MOIT VIETRADE. This MOIT will help create more opportunities for the EU-Vietnam resource sharing necessary to make transformative changes for business of all sizes. The green transition is not possible without dialogues between European business and Vietnamese business, between European government and Vietnamese government, knowledge sharing, technology transfer, and funding opportunities. So this is the great opportunity for us to pool our resources and capitalize our unique advantages. So I would like to invite His Excellency Mr. Kijo Novato and His Excellency Mr. Nicolas Wery to come on stage to witness the MOU signing. On the Vietnamese, I would like to invite Mr. Nguyễn Như Hiếu, the Deputy Director of MOFA, to join as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you would have questions, but please save it till the end, till the Q&A session after this, please. For now, I would like to take this opportunity to express the greatest appreciation to our partners, our business associations, representatives of EU member states in Vietnam who have joined force with us to make this ambitious plan come true. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Christophe, the Deputy Head of Mission, to share, as a member of steering committee as well, to share a few words.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining today in this press conference. I'm very excited to be here and to see all of you here, because I think since about 1 year we've been talking about this event in the EU Trade Councillors and also together with the EuroCham, and now our plan is slowly coming together in close cooperation with our Vietnamese partners. So why are we organizing the Green Economy Forum and exhibition? I think we are all working together on this global challenge of climate change. And in Europe, for the past 10 years, it's all been about climate mitigation, the energy transition, the green transformation of the European economy. And I think that we see now in Vietnam, particularly after the commitment of Prime Minister Chin at COP26 for Vietnam to become climate neutral in 2050, we see a growing momentum in Vietnam for the green transformation of Vietnam's economy and for the energy transition. If I look at the policies in Europe, then I see the development of both carrots and sticks to support this green transformation and to support this green transition globally. If I look at the carrots, basically there are billions and billions of euros of climate finance looking for a destination now globally, and they are waiting for the right opportunities in Vietnam to land. And I also see a carbon emission trading system developing and a Vietnamese initiative to develop the local carbon market, hopefully to land in 2025, but currently already the international carbon market developing. That means that it will become increasingly easy to mobilize very, very large funding to support and fund Vietnam's green transformation and energy transition. So those are the carrots, but there are also some sticks. What I see in Europe is now the carbon border adjustment mechanism. That is a mechanism that will tax imports that are produced with large carbon emissions. So that means that potentially Vietnam's exports to Europe in certain sectors will be taxed higher. But that's not the whole story. Actually, it's an incentive to start working on lower emissions. And we still have some years to do that together. And that goes for the European companies producing in Vietnam for the European market. And it goes for the Vietnamese companies producing in Vietnam for the European market, but also for the suppliers of the European companies producing here. And then in Brussels, currently, there's also under development the new responsible business conduct regulations, largely based on the OECD guidelines. Those will incorporate as well incentives to produce more sustainably, having lower carbon emissions, making use of circular economy concepts. Those regulations will probably come into force in 2 to 3 years. So that means that this is the time for Vietnam to start preparing for those new regulations and to make sure that Vietnamese exports can continue to meet the European market requirements. And for that, we as European member states, together with the EuroCham and the European delegation, are very honored and proud to support the Vietnamese business sector in developing towards those standards. As the Netherlands, together with the Dutch Business Association in Vietnam, we have developed a special program for that. It's called Ready to Export. So Vietnamese companies, suppliers of large European companies can get training in order to meet European market requirements. They will get a coach from a seasoned Dutch company in Vietnam. And there are more European companies that are very eager to support their Vietnamese suppliers in meeting those requirements, because it is very crucial for their functioning and their success, not only in the Vietnamese market, but also on the global market, that their suppliers can meet the requirements. In order to meet those requirements, new knowledge, expertise, technologies, products and services need to find their way to Vietnam. And this Green Economy Forum and exhibition is the platform on which Europe will present those technologies, expertise, products and services to their Vietnamese clients and business partners. So I think it is an excellent opportunity to bring different things together: business to business, government to government, knowledge to knowledge, and a mixture of all of that. And I'm very proud to say that the Netherlands will have, with 350 square meters, the largest country pavilion at the GEFE. And I would like to encourage all the other member states to beat us and to bring even more companies to Vietnam. We will have as a leader for our business delegation the Dutch Minister for Foreign Trade, Investment and Development Cooperation, Ms. Liesje Schrijnemacher. Difficult name, Liesje Schrijnemacher. She will lead the Dutch business delegation, and she is looking forward to meeting you and to link the Vietnamese business sector with the Dutch business sector in this broader European context. And maybe I should also use this opportunity to highlight that Prime Minister Chin will visit the Netherlands in December with a large business delegation as well. And we look very much forward to continue building on the efforts of the Green Economy Forum and exhibition to create more business to business, government to government, and knowledge to knowledge links between the Netherlands and Vietnam and Europe and Vietnam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christophe. I would like to turn to Mr. Alan Kenny to share with you more details on GEFE.
Thank you. Thank you, Christophe. And I still have 2 months to train to pronounce this name well. So as promised, let's go a little bit more into details for this event. So maybe we start with the exhibition part. I believe we have a slide or two. So the venue, first of all, the venue of the event is in the greenest part of Ho Chi Minh City, which is Tu Thiem, and the newest part of Ho Chi Minh City. So this will be, do you have the slide about the venue? Here we are. Okay. So this is a brand new venue. Actually, GEFE will be the opening international event of this venue, which is in the heart of the city, right on the other side of the river in Tu Thiem. It is a conference and exhibition space of 5,000 square meters, so a bit over 4,000 square meters of exhibition, and the rest being the conference part. So we will have 9 meeting rooms, or 8 meeting rooms, sorry, there. and a very large hall, very modern hall of exhibition. So as I mentioned, so far, we have about 150 exhibitors which have been committed either with their own booth or via, as it was mentioned just now, through national pavilions. So we will have 6 national pavilions. So one from the Netherlands, which is so far the largest one, with about 20 exhibitors. That's correct, Christophe?
At the moment, 20 confirmed, but we aim for 30 to 40.
All right, that's the best news of the day. France, which is committed so far for over 100 square meters, with a dozen of exhibitors, but I know it's still work in progress, so we expect also some more. Germany will have about 200 square meters with more than 20 exhibitors. We have 2 pavilions from Italy, one from the Chamber of Commerce, the other one from the Italian Trade Agency, all together over 200 square meters. We have a Norway pavilion with over 100 square meters. And of course, we have a VIETRADE, I can say a Vietnam National Pavilion, which is expected to be close or bigger than the Dutch pavilion. We will also have, so can we show the floor plan? The tentative floor plan, this is, oh, okay, I thought it will be easier to read. As you can see, it's pretty full already. So we will also have, worth mentioning, a pavilion for startup, where we expect to have, don't know, for the time being, we have a dozen of startups in sustainable packaging, food waste management, plastic recycling, energy charging, all these type of things. And part of the event is also to promote these new businesses and entrepreneurs. Of course, as you can see all over the room, we have more than 30 sponsors. And actually, this has been extremely, let's say, we are extremely pleased with that, because it showed from the very early stage a strong support, a trust on our ability to deliver a good quality event. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank very much our sponsors. You have, let's say, not all of them are yet on the screen because some of them did not sign the contract yet, or didn't want to, we are not ready to disclose it today, but we have signed more than 30. And of course, the diamond sponsors on the top who are the most supporter. And you can see this is, we have been extremely selective for this sponsorship. We only wanted to have the best of Europe. And related to the event, we have declined, I can tell you, many sponsors wanted to be there, but had nothing to do with the event. And we concentrated very much on the one who can bring something to the event, not only the money, but also the showcase of their initiatives. And we are very proud that in this lead, and this list, of course, include the Vietnamese champion, VinFast, which is becoming a global player in EV. So we are very pleased to have VinFast as well among large European names in this list. So if you through the Q&A, if you wish, we can give you more details about the exhibition. We are also very pleased to team up with RID, RX, which are, I can say, experts in organizing exhibition. And as EuroCham don't have really the intention to become an organizer of event or to become an expert, we are very pleased to get a good cooperation with you guys. I can see here we have the Asia Pacific head for RX in the room. Thank you very much for being with us, and thank you in advance for your strong support to make this event a success. So now let's go to the conference part. We should have a couple of slides as well. So beside the plenary session, which will be on the first morning, and where we expect the very high level representative from Europe and from Vietnam to be together and to share as much as possible on their sorry, where it is. Okay. On the green economy. We will have 12 panels during the 3 days. Probably 1 or 2 more to come. Each panel will go into details, and you can see from this slide that we are going to talk about energy production, financing green project, the legal constraints, EU carbon neutrality strategies, circular economy, green cities, green buildings, sustainable agriculture. We'll have 2 panels on this. Way out of the water crisis, way out, 2 panels on this as well. Digitalization, the border of life and IT, new energy storage, green hydrogen. We will have a student competition, which I will say maybe a few words later on. We will have a climate fresk, green tourism, and behavioral changes. I think especially on the last day will be more public and students, rather than the first 2 days will be very much B2B, B2G. We will open up the exhibition and the conference on the last day, targeting the future leader of Vietnam through the students and the entrepreneurs. So we will have speakers from Europe, of course, high-level speaker, which Ambassador Giorgio and myself spoke about. Member states representative at ministerial level or department level. The World Bank is also confirmed, and the World Bank, beside Caroline Turk, the country director, who will be one of the speakers. We are expecting to have different experts from the World Bank to participate in our workshops or panels. Of course, speakers from businesses. We already got confirmation of a good number of global CEO of European companies who are going to come to Ho Chi Minh City for the event, and regional CEO, Asia Pacific CEO, Southeast Asia CEO. So we are very confident to attract for this event very high level businessmen. We will have real experts in the sector, like Mark Hutchinson, for example, just to mention a few, who is the head of the Global Wind. Sorry, I forgot the exact name of this institution, which I should have somewhere. Okay, never mind. In terms of business, beside the companies who are really on the related sectors, energy, waste, we also will have a very strong participation of companies who have taken already in Vietnam or intend to take in Vietnam very strong initiative towards the zero carbon level. Companies like Sanofi, like Unilever, Heineken, Bosch, BASF, and so on. And of course, the big names. That's the guy, yes, Mark Huntington. So he's the Global Wind Energy Council chairman. So of course we will have the big names in energy company like, and they are our main sponsors as well, like Equinor, CIP, COP, Ørsted, EDF, Total Energy, Schneider Electric, Suez, just to mention a few. So very strong support, and they will also be part of the exhibition, but we expect to have their global CEO and senior leaders to participate in the panels, as our goal is really to create a dialogue between government and businesses, as again we believe that we cannot achieve this journey if we don't all work together. So I think policy from the government and regulation, technology and finance coming from the private sector will be key to the success, and that's what we intend to bring. On the student competition, so we are organizing a student competition in cooperation with School Lab, and we will launch the Sustainable Innovation Lab. So students from leading universities in Vietnam, in Asia and in the EU will work with businesses to develop solutions to business, environmental and social problems. In Vietnam, for example, we are working with Tin Giang University, Van Long University, Ho Chi Minh City University of Natural Resources, UEH Institute of Innovation, and so on, just to name a few. So that will be on the third day. I think I will probably stop here and take now questions you may have from the floor. I'm wondering, Phuc, do you want to add something on your side on what you intend to bring on your VIETRADE booth? And if you can eventually reveal a few names, I'm sure the media will be interested in this.
Actually, Alan, thank you. Actually, I have received one question actually for Mr. Vũ Bà Phú from the floor. I have, yeah, if I may. So the question was, in your opinion, what are the advantages and benefits that GEFE brings to Vietnam in general and to the Vietnamese business in particular? And as a co-organizer of GEFE 2022, what has VIETRADE prepared to cooperate with EuroCham's in this important event?
Xin cảm ơn. Vậy là tôi sẽ chỉ có một câu hỏi, được trả lời có một câu hỏi thôi.
Thank you so much. I think I'm allowed to answer only one question. Thank you so much, Mr. Alan and Mr. Ambassador George Abati, Mr. Ambassador from France to Vietnam, and everyone. Thank you so much for your coming with us in this press conference and the MOU signing from VIETRADE. I wish to convey my thanks to EuroCham for your trust and partnership and willingness to cooperate with us with VIETRADE so far, as well as your confidence in our capacity in cooperating with you for such an incredible and important event. The GEFE on Green Economy Forum and exhibition, which will be organized in late November this year. So in order to enter to the MOU today, I myself and Mr. Allen had a lot of deliberate discussion for around 6 months. At the beginning, it seems to us that this GEFE withdraw less attraction from the governmental agencies, the sectors, and businesses. But after that, when we had agreement not only from VIETRADE, but also from MOIT. Then VIETRADE was mandated by MOIT to cooperate with the functional departments of MOIT and cooperated with governmental agencies, ministries, and local governments regarding the GEFE. And from that time, when we were mandated, almost all local governments had disseminated information about the GEFE, and there were also businesses from the local level contacting us and registering their exhibition in the national pavilion. So we consider this GEFE an extremely important event because via this event, the sectors, the national levels, the local level governments and businesses will enjoy a golden opportunities to learn from experiences, technologies, expertise of European businesses, and their awareness would be enhanced on how to practice and exercise the green growth, green economy, circular economy in general. So this is the first point I wish to raise. The second one, as Mr. Christoph has presented to you all, in the fact that in the coming time, Vietnam has to develop our regulatory framework regarding carbon emission reduction and also green economy and green growth in general. Such issues are important to us, and we are in need of expertise and or knowledge transfer, especially from European zone, whereas you implemented a lot of initiatives, including the initiatives on carbon trading. So I believe that in the coming time, if GEFE is organized on annual basis, not only between EU and Vietnam, it can become a kind of international event for Vietnam. And this would be a kind of role model, an example to attract the attention from developed countries in Asia Pacific as well as in other parts of the world to learn from our models of North-South cooperation between such a developing country as Vietnam with developed countries as EU. From MOIT and VIETRADE perspective, it is my high hope that the partnership with EuroCham to organize this Green Economy Forum and exhibition would be our good opportunity to demonstrate that from MOIT, a national agency, the regulator from government being in charge of energy transition, from fossil fuel-based energy sources to renewables and less carbon emissions. So it would be a good demonstration for the government of Vietnam's commitment to implement our COP26 pledges and also to exercise our energy transition strategy and green growth, as well as the emission reductions in the coming time. From VIETRADE, I also strongly believe that the strong partnership between VIETRADE and EuroCham for GEFE will also represent our branding, our reputation in being a linkage, a bridge between Vietnamese businesses and partners and international ones, international investors. And we paid attention to the European businesses, whereas you are the holder, the master of source technology, high technology, and also there is a lot of expertise and profession in energy transition, in exercising green economy, and also your high coverage of renewables. So we do hope that in the coming time, VIETRADE will have more and more opportunities to cooperate with EuroCham within the MOU framework today. So it is not limited to a kind of high-level conference and green economy and green growth or GEFE, but also other types of cooperation for trade and investment between European and Vietnamese businesses. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for. Sorry, I would like to highlight the presence of Ambassador Keijo Novanto, who is the ambassador of Finland. I'm sorry, Ambassador, your name was not mentioned before, but thank you for being with us today. And also to rebound on just what Fu just said, we really treasure the partnership we have with VIETRADE and with MOIT. And also I have to say that we really feel now that we have a strong support from the Vietnamese government as a whole, with the leadership of Prime Minister Chin, of course, but I see in the room the presence of MOFA, which is also very important in the process. So it's and we are having meetings with the MPI, with the MONRI, with the MARD on regular basis, together with Vice Chairman Min here. So we can see really a very, very strong interest on our event. And again, we are very confident that all together we should bring we should have the right discussion and bring some good solution for Vietnam. I think we have some more questions. We have a question for the ambassador here. Do you want me to read the question or you do it? You want me to read the question? So Ambassador, we have a question for you. As a representative of Europe to Vietnam, what do Vietnam companies must need to make the green transition? That's the first question. Second question, what incentives do business have to implement sustainable initiatives?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll go for the first one. But I think the Vietnamese companies, first of all, they need the appropriate regulatory framework, because when we talk about the green transition, of course, we know that it's not an easy feat. I think it's a difficult process, and you need to have the right parameters, the right framework, even in Europe, all over the world. Usually this is very expensive, this is complicated, so the government has to find ways to facilitate this. So I think that the government of Vietnam, I think we are working with them on these issues. I think it's important to put together the right framework in order to allow also Vietnamese company to be fully part of this transition. And the second thing, I think it's also important to cooperate with good partners. In terms of technology, I think the European Union companies are best placed. So I think it's really complementary in this field. So I think it's important and essential that Vietnamese company and EU companies work together in this. And I'm really confident that there is a huge perspective also for Vietnamese company to develop their own technology in the future, because there will be a transfer of technology anyway. So this is happening also in other places. So I think, but in the beginning, of course, as we're talking about a certain level of technology, which is not present maybe here, but it will come. So I think it's a really win-win for both. So European and Vietnamese working together, then there will be a room also for Vietnamese companies to develop their own activities, their own specific technology. I saw it already in central Vietnam when we had some project on solar. Some parts of it were already Vietnamese. So I think there is a way to go down that line. It's really a complementary thing, so it's very positive. The second one, in terms of what incentive business have to implement sustainable initiative, I think first of all, there is an incentive, which is a whole of society approach, which now is becoming more and more relevant for everybody. I think the government here in Vietnam and all over the world, I mean, we all part of the same world. There is no planet B, so we have to go in the same direction. And I think this will be the future. So the first, I would say, it's a natural incentive of being there. And the second one is because also it will be profitable. So it will make business. So sustainable development is the future, but it will be also good for your business. So I think that Vietnamese companies will get it, will understand that, and in the near future will become fully part of this transition, this revolution. Thanks.
Thank you, Giorgio. Do we have more questions from the floor or online?
Good afternoon. I'm Bích Thủy from Vietnam Investment Review, VIR. I'm so interested in the business and investment trend among EuroCham member community in Vietnam, especially in green growth and sustainable development. The Lego projects is one of the projects that saw EuroCham investment trend in this field. So the question is, have you seen any new project or plans in the green growth and sustainable development in Vietnam among European community in Vietnam? And the second question is about the BCI, the Business Climate Index. So could you share with us what are the highlights in the BCI, the third quarter? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your questions. So first, of course, you mentioned Lego. Lego, it's of course a very iconic new investment, which is being made at the moment by a very well-known European company, being zero carbon, and the size of the investment being over 1 billion. We are very proud to say that we have many cases where we see European companies operating in Vietnam moving towards the zero carbon goal in all sectors. For example, if one coming to my mind is Sanofi, which is a very well-known pharmaceutical company, which is developing a project in Ho Chi Minh City to turn one of his existing factory to zero carbon, not only in using not only for the energy saving, but they are going to capture the silicate from the smoke, and together with the Vietnamese nano company, they are going to use this silicate, which they will capture from the smoke of the boiler, to make it an ingredient being part of their product. So really, in terms of investment, this is only a few $1 million investment, but this is a very good showcase of how even pharmaceutical company, we used to say they may be company polluting, or maybe is not always good for the environment, but you can see any kind of company taking initiative, small or large, for becoming green. And Sanofi is going to be green, not by 2050. They are going to be green in Vietnam by 2025, which is tomorrow. Another one coming to my mind, not far from here, is Deep Sea in Hai Phong, which is operating industrial zone. They are taking initiative on the energy side, of course, with roof solar panel, with windmill, but they are also building a farm, which they are growing some vegetables and fruits on the organic way, which they are going to redistribute to their staff. And they are already redistributing to their staff and their tenants within the zone, really to try to develop a green ecosystem within the zone. Heineken, which has been mentioned already, Heineken, which is by itself almost 1% of Vietnam GDP. It's a big company. They have, or I believe I can say that they are already zero carbon in their plant. You should know that better than I, Christophe. So this is only a few examples that, because Europe has already 20, 30 years of experience in going green. Even today, before even, let's say, or even yesterday, before this becoming a big subject, many European companies investing in Vietnam are bringing the best of the green technology and targeting Vietnam now with this commitment made by the Prime Minister at the COP26 and the plan. Really, each newcomer, and we see a lot of newcomers in the last few months after COVID, we are increasing our membership by 10% these days, with new companies, new European companies coming to Vietnam. And I can say almost all of them, they have a plan which is linked to the green transition economy. So that's really a trend which is very strong. And this is why we want to bring with GEFE, being together in the same room, European companies and Vietnamese companies to really discuss and do together what should be done for bringing this country towards the zero carbon. That's exactly so. On BCI, actually, I cannot talk about the new BCI because we are doing it at the moment. I think we have launched it last weekend. So we are asking our members to give us, and we will disclose, I think, the next BCI in 2 weeks from now, 10 days from now. Okay. As you know well, the previous one was still on a very high, 64 on the scale of 100, but went down by a few points from the previous quarter. This reflects very much the situation that people, I think our European companies are still very positive about the business environment, but believe that the situation is slightly deteriorating, not because of Vietnam, but because obviously of external factor, what's going on in the world, and probably the recession who may become a reality in the US and in Europe. I'm just coming back from a trip in Europe last weekend, and the mood is definitely not as good as it was a few months ago due to the Ukraine-Russia situation, and also the impact on the energy side and the inflation, which is growing fast. So far, Vietnam is a little bit immune, I think, with the growth which has been disclosed last week of 13.6%. Even if you take into consideration the -6% of the Q3 of 2020, this means almost 8% growth net, which is tremendous. And I can see that Vietnam is becoming more and more attractive for many European companies due to this growth momentum. Even we expect, and I expect the new BCI to reflect again, maybe slightly lower than the previous quarter, because we are all a little bit worried again by the global situation. But definitely Vietnam is very much on the radar screen. And again, with GEFE, we are very proud that we are under these 150 exhibitors, maybe only half of them are already in Vietnam, which means that, and I believe it's the same on the Dutch pavilion and all the pavilion, I believe half of the exhibitors will be new to Vietnam. And that's really what we want to bring, new investment in the right sector with the right behavior. And that's why I think it's very important that we cooperate with VIETRADE and the MOIT, and let's say even more Vietnamese agencies, because in putting everyone in the same room for 2 or 3 days together, exchanging, we should, and bringing students to the room as well, we should be able to change mentality, thinking. Very often, even we are talking with the Ministry of Education. I think it's how can we change really the behavior of the people. It took us 30 years in Europe, and we are not yet fully there. So it's I hope the Vietnamese will learn much faster than us, and we would be able to make it within 10, 15 years rather than 30 years. You want to add something, Christophe?
Yes, thank you, Alain. And indeed, I think Vietnam will be able to make this transition faster than we did it in Europe, for two reasons. Vietnam is growing incredibly fast and has to handle many challenges at the same time, and is also used to handling those challenges at the same time. And actually, Vietnam has an opportunity to learn from Europe, both the things that went well in Europe, but also our mistakes. So please do not repeat the mistakes that we made in Europe. Getting back for a moment on the incentives, I think the key incentive for businesses is here that Vietnamese businesses want to keep their entrance to the European market. And for that, it is crucial to be able to match all the regulatory requirements. Those regulatory requirements will be increasingly focused on sustainability, on low carbon emission in the production of any goods or products. So therefore, it is so important that Vietnam's business community works actively on meeting those requirements. And therefore, indeed, it is, like DG Fu mentioned, a golden opportunity to attend from 28 till 30 November, the Green Economy Forum and Exhibition in Ho Chi Minh City, and to meet with European companies that can offer solutions to meet those EU requirements. Because I think we will see an acceleration of requirements, and we will see an acceleration of the green transition and the energy transition in particular. The effect of Russia's invasion in Ukraine is actually that the energy transition will need to be accelerated, because we will have to switch to renewable energy even faster than we were planning. So that means that that will also have its impact on the demands for Vietnamese suppliers, but it will also have its impact on carbon finance and carbon credits markets. So European producers will also look at Vietnam for meeting their carbon objectives. And that will mobilize a lot of funding for Vietnam's industries to make this transition.
Thank you, Christophe. I hope we answer the questions. I have a special request to the member of the media here. I think you have a very important role to play as well in this exercise. And it will be important for the success of our event that you help us to bring the right people in the room. So we will of course invest in communication to make sure that this will be the case, but I count on you. I think it's very important, and taking the opportunity that we are facing, all of you representing the local press, but I see also some representative of international press. Please help us to bring the right people in the room to make sure that we will have during these 3 days the attendance. We can get hundreds of people attending the conferences, and of course thousands visiting the exhibition. So I count on you to help us to promote the event, to make sure that we will have the right Vietnamese people and eventually European people attending the event. We can take probably a couple of more questions if there are any. Yes.
Xin kính chào ngài chủ tịch. Tôi là
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lê Quang Hội. I am from Legal Buy, an M&A company, and I would like to have a question for the chair and all the members. One of the things we would like to mention here is about carbon credit, and we understand that the carbon credits can be traded. I just want to ask you, what is the price of a carbon credit in Vietnamese dong or in US dollars? And what do you think about the market of carbon trading in Vietnam, maybe in the next 10 or 20 years? What do you think about the market? Thank you.
Okay, that's an embarrassing question.
Vâng, tôi thấy rằng
I believe, Christophe, you're probably slightly more advanced than me on the carbon credit issues.
A bit. Thank you very much. Well, so I think the Ministry of Industry and Trade could inform you on the plans for the development of the local carbon credit market. And they intend to, I think, establish that in 2025, if I've been informed well. So I think maybe DG Fu can answer a bit on that. And then on the price for emission rights, basically they vary per country. So carbon credits, for instance, are currently way more expensive in Korea or in Europe than they are in less developed countries. And therefore, it is very interesting to establish a local trading mechanism for carbon credits. And you might want to talk with the World Bank, because they're currently working on that as well. But the exact prices, I do not have them here now. I would have to look them up for you. I'm sorry.
But I do promise that on the 28th of November, within one panel which is going to tackle this subject, I believe on the first day, you will have the answer. All right, so please register yourself, and I hope we will have a good debate. We are expecting to have representative from Vietnam side, of course, and European side to debate on the subject, and we will have an expert for the World Bank as well. The lady over there, she was raising. Oh, okay, all right. So two questions.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much, EuroCham and VIETRADE, for your incredible event coming up. And as I see, in the next 15 days, we will have a meeting with investors and clients in European countries, 5 countries. So I think such event would be extremely useful for Vietnamese enterprises to access to information and to learn about the energy transition in Vietnam, not taking much time and cost for traveling. My name is Hoa. I am the CEO of EuroCham's, and we are exporting on agricultural products to the US and also European countries. We have 2 directions. The first one is to focus on carbon credit or certificate, and the second one is to work on organic products. We'd like to also focus on circular economy. So our direction is that we are one small and medium enterprise. So during your ideas and solutions to implement for enterprises to work on green economy, I think in addition to green economy, we should also bring to such enterprises new investors. And we do hope that when we have solutions, we need to have the accompanying of investors, right? Because green economy and green transition is a big project. And we need to also touch upon not only the large big businesses, but also small and medium enterprises, because SMEs in Vietnam is a big part of all the enterprises. And from thinking to exercise, then SMEs will need the accompanying of investors right at the beginning. So when we go to European countries in the next 15 days, we need to reach out to the investors. We need to ask them whether they will buy our products when we have a carbon credit or carbon certificate, and will they accompany us when we do such kind of new solutions for circular economy. So in our idea and opinion, in the GEFE on 28th to 30th November 2022, there should be a part of engaging investors to work with us, to support us. Because if we focus only on solutions without financing, we could not implement those kind of solutions and initiatives. So we do expect that there should be investors from funds also to work for us. And we also work in Australian for PPP, having a new product for cinnamon. But we have to do it by ourselves. And we do hope that EuroCham can be the pioneer to bridge us, to match it with investors, with the Vietnamese enterprises, because you think that Vietnam is a good destination for green economy. And in order to make more momentum for the transition, I do hope that you can bring more financial resources to us. Thank you.
Thank you for your question and remark. That's a very important remark. And actually, we had a session last Thursday in Ho Chi Minh City where we were talking about it within the Vietnam-EU trade relation. But as you may know, as part of the FTA, there is also a mention on the sustainability and obligation for sustainability for trade. And your point is well taken. First of all, I would like to encourage you maybe to be part of the VIETRADE booth to showcase what you are doing. I think in Europe already, the consumer are guiding very much the sustainability, and they are more and more looking for organic and companies with the right behavior before buying their products. So if you expect to grow your export to Europe, I really encourage you to go into that direction. I'm sure that during these 3 days in Ho Chi Minh City, end of November, we will be able to tackle this issue. It will be definitely, it is in our mind to discuss it in one of the panels. But again, please continue into that direction. You will be welcome in Europe if you bring the right product with the right behavior. And again, I think Phu, you have a good potential exhibitor for your VIETRADE booth there. Thank you. Yes, Christophe.
Thưa chị là cảm ơn chị lấy câu hỏi cũng như là bình luận. Thì như chúng tôi đã thông báo thì ban tổ chức là bên cạnh cái việc là tổ chức cái hội nghị cấp cao.
Thank you for your question and the comments. So as we mentioned, besides the high-level dialogues during the 3 days, we will also have the green economy exhibition, and we also will have B2B matching events where there will be opportunities for connecting Vietnamese businesses and foreign investors and foreign companies who can do business with Vietnamese companies. So please register with the organizing committee. Here is VIETRADE. So we will connect the businesses and the investors who may suit your needs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to add one thing. In the Netherlands Pavilion, we will also have the Climate Fund Managers. Climate Fund Managers is a public-private entity which is funded for 50% by the Netherlands government. And they have about 200 million euros of investment capital available for green projects and low carbon developments in Vietnam for the coming years. So if you visit the Netherlands Pavilion, you can meet them.
And you will have some beer. Last question.
Hi, I'm Hằng from Vietnam Television. I would have a couple of questions to Ambassador Giorgio Aliberti. First of all, in terms of Vietnam's COP26 commitments, how does the EU delegation plan to assist Vietnam in terms of reaching its COP26 commitment and toward its national green growth strategy? And the second question is, what common practices or sustainable solutions that Vietnam can learn from the EU in terms of realizing its goals?
We stay until tomorrow here. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for the first question. Yes, we as European Union, we are very happy to see the Prime Minister at COP26 in Glasgow commit about the net zero by 2050. And so together with other partners, in particular in the context of the G7 group, we decided that Vietnam could be one of the beneficiaries of a so-called Just Energy Transition Partnership, which started with South Africa, and now we are considering Indonesia, India, Indonesia, India, Vietnam, and Senegal. And so in this context, we started a discussion with the government, and we are as EU, together with the UK, we are the coordinator of this activity. So we're working with the government to negotiate a political declaration that we hope to finalize in the next few weeks and months. In order to see what level of ambitions Vietnam has and what kind of assistance we can give as foreign partners to Vietnam. So this is where we stand right now. The idea is to have a political declaration which basically sets out the parameters, and then starting from there on, we hope really to go very much into details, so to see in the next few years how to go ahead. Of course, it's a very long-term process, but I think it's a very positive for Vietnam for the transition which we are talking about, so it's essential. Of course, we will need a lot of resources, will be not only G7, but other partners, development banks, World Bank, many others, but this is just to give you a short idea about what we are doing. And the second part about what sustainable solution you can see from Europe. Well, there are plenty of activities. I think that the aspect of business is essential, because it's not just a government-led initiative, because otherwise it doesn't work. So I think it's important to have, as I said before, a whole of society approach, and business is an essential element. Business can bring money, can bring technology, can bring positive solution, can bring very practical ideas. So I think that's why I think GEFE is relevant, because it's not just government. So what we mentioned before, JTP is what government can do, but then it has to be complemented by some activity by business. So in Europe, I think we have been working in these things in parallel. So all of society, so government, business, and civil society. I think these are the three elements which are essential. And I think this is very relevant also for Vietnam. So we hope to show what we did, to share experience, also to show you our mistakes. As Christopher said, we made some mistakes, so we hope you avoid to making them. So this is how we plan to assist you on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. I think we are going to bring this to an end. What I propose, I'm sure you may have a few more questions. I think in this room, beside myself, we have Min, our vice chairman, we have Yasmina, the project director for GEFE, we have Delphine, our executive director, a few board members. So if you have more questions, we will be pleased to take them right now after we close this session to make sure that you are well informed about GEFE. And again, I would like to thank you for your reporting and your support to make this event successful for Vietnam. Thank you.